Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. This is Double Bits Workshop. Alright, so in today's episode we will be making some good old vinyl record storage or stacking crates. Now I've looked at a couple different DIY setups just as far as what people kind of want their setup to be, and I've kind of come up with my own. So to fill you in on what's going on exactly, my good friend has actually given quite a few different vinyl records to my parents. And for a storage setup, he wanted to commission me to actually make crates for them, so that way they can store them a little bit more nicely. Otherwise, what he had brought them over with for them to be able to go through all the different old records that he had on his property, they are just some plastic totes that he ended up using from something else that he needs them back for. And he's like, they're also, even if he was to give them to him, they just don't quite work. They're just a big plastic tote. So these are actually my little record collection. I don't have many, but this is some of the classics that I have. And I'm going to be using them for reference for the actual larger crate itself. I'm going to be making 3 of them, and I would like to make them stackable as well, so that way you can take them down, move them around, do what you need to with them, but then also you have the ability to put them on side and stack them up 3 tall. And there's a couple different fun configurations you can do, so that way it gives them a couple of different capabilities in their house to have just a fun little setup. So we're going to be making those today. So the overall length of them is going to be a little bit bigger than 24 inches. So I need the interior of it to be 24 inches, because just kind of doing a rough estimate, it was roughly around 36 inches is what the total width of what is required for what they have is. So if I divide that by 3 for 3 crates, that gives me 24 inches. And that gives just a little bit of breathing room. I don't necessarily think they're going to be going out and collecting a bunch more than they were already given, but they also might get rid of a few, might gain a few down the road, so it should stay roughly around that for them. And I can always create another crate down the road, but for right now, for what they have and what they need, 3 should be just perfect for them. So that is what we'll be making in today's video out of good old pallet wood. So follow along. I'll try to give you some rough estimates on what I'm working with, and see if you like them, if you want to, or you can change the dimensions, make them a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, depending on your collection as well. And they should turn out pretty awesome. I'm pretty stoked about it. So let's get to it. Alright, so looking at these records here, what I have noticed on here is that for these, they're under, for the cardboard and also the record, it is under 12.5 inches. The record itself is actually 12 inches. So these are 12 inch for just the standard for what most of them are. A few of them are the tinier, more 7-inch style, and there's some kind of odds and ends in between. But by and large, most of everything that they have, and what I have for just sizing reference, is the 12 inches, or with cardboard it's 12, just under 12.5 inches. So to be on the safe side of that, what I'm going to do is buff it up to 12 3/4 of an inch, and they are square, of course, since this is a circular disc. So 12 3/4 is what I'm going to go off of for each of the crates. So that way, if they wanted to stack them on top of each other, or if they wanted to tilt them to the side to where you had access to pull them off of each of the crates, then they have a capability. So what I'm going to do is take these boards, and I'm going to rip them all down to the most familiar, shorter width that I had for one of these, which is 2 3/4. So I'm going to rip all the boards down to 2 3/4 just to make it uniform and quick and easy. So everything's going to get ripped down on the table saw real quick for all my lengths and all for my width pieces. And I'm going to take 3 of these, and I'm going to stack them up like so, and then 2 for either end. So we'll have that very much crate look. Once it's all cut, uniform, and what I'm going to do is initially glue and pin nail everything together, but I do want to go through and restructure everything with screws, since these do get very, very heavy, which is why it's getting broken up into 3 versus just one large crate, because goodness gracious, you will not be able to move that thing around if it was just one crate. So we will take and rip these down, make our cuts and dimensions off of 12 3/4 for all of the lengths of the boards, including these here. So that way everything can just conform and be exactly what it needs to be for the ends. So for this configuration, it looks like it is 5 boards for each end, which means in total it'll be 10 for the sides for one crate, which means that I'll need 30 of these cut at 12 3/4. So I need 30 12 3/4 cuts. Each one of those on the boards are going to be ripped down to 2 3/4, and I'm going to space them apart. You could alternatively snug everything up, throw another board in there. You can either do just the slight gap in the middle, or you can drop it down to 3 in that bottom and then have a slit for a handle. That is also a configuration you can go with. Alternatively for me, less material, less weight, I'm going to be just doing the 3 boards for the height, and then 2 standing vertically going upright. So those will be my uprights, and then these will go like that. And then for the sides, once everything is cut smooth, what I'm going to do is lay these over each of those ends, so on the other side, and then I'm going to pin nail and glue, and then probably run 1 long screw or maybe 2 shorter screws on each one of these through into the main board, so that way I get the strength and structure of the screws, but I get the readiness and the ability to kind of help hold all the joints nice and tight till that glue sits good and solid with the pin nails. So I'm doing all 3 methods to get these 100% strong, because records are heavy. They're very heavy. That's why I'm only making the interior of this 24 inches and not any longer. But now to ripping down the boards and making some cuts. So now we'll be taking and making the sides. Just like so. So 3 going horizontal, 2 vertical, and this is the outside profile. We'll get this all mounted up, do 2 of those, and then we'll mount the sides to it as well as the bottom. And that'll be it for the entire project. I'm running out of time for the night, sadly, so I'll only be able to get one of these done. Otherwise, I'll be waking the neighbors up. So, now I'll have fun knocking this next little bit out. Alright, so this does it for at least one of them. I'm going to be making an additional 2 for my parents. I just ran out of time, like I was saying. So, sadly, just one right now. I'm really happy with how it's turned out at the moment. I might still go through and throw in those support screws. I'm going to let the glue and everything set well overnight and see how it all feels tomorrow. Like I said earlier, I'm trying to make sure that this is a strong build, but I'm also trying to make sure that it's not going to get super heavy, because I could have left all the boards really long and wide, and I could have done an extra beam, and I could have squashed them all together and made it just more like a flat crate, but that adds a lot of weight to it. And this is kind of nice because it kind of gives you handles on the sides. So if you were to be standing it upright like this and stack up 3, you could have yourself its own shelving if you wanted to. It can stand upright, whichever way you desire it to be. It can do it and work out hunky-dory. And this is a very small collection that I have of vinyl. Otherwise, the collection that my friend gave my parents is going to well fit and fill 3 of these, and have just a little bit of room on either side, so that way they can kind of stay lean. They're not going to be absolutely jam-packed in there, which is nice. Definitely gives them the room for growing. However they desire to, they can manipulate and change that around. But I'm definitely happy and really enjoying the look of this, and creating an additional 2 will be fun. I have the supplies on that side and over here. That I ended up not being able to get to tonight and sand it all up. These are all ready to go for the sides. So that's the additional 2 sitting right there that I will need to sand and prep before I actually go through pin nailing and gluing. And tomorrow will give me kind of an idea if I need to throw those support screws. What I would probably do in that instance is just drill and countersink and throw in 6 screws on each side, so 12 additional screws in total for at least the sides. Otherwise I would do the additional 6 on bottom as well. And that would just be a single one, dead center, each one of those, just to kind of create a little bit more structure to it, so that way none of the pin nails have a way to work themselves out, and then you're not just 100% trusting the glue to hold up pretty heavy vinyl, or rather hard plastic. So, thank you all so very much. If you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the pallet wood, and this is 100% pallet wood, vinyl record holder, or the storage crate, what have you, this DIY project, please make sure and let me know below as well in a comment if you will. If you have any ideas on how to improve it or things that you would like done differently and suggest, feel free to leave that in the comments down below as well. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Each subscription helps out greatly for me. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notifications each and every time I upload a video. Thank you all so very much and have yourself a wonderful day.